Hi everybody. I haven't done a video in a long time. And, today this video is going to be different than most of the other videos I do. Most of my other videos are on guns and stuff. This video is on one of my other hobbies, drag racing, high performance Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouth big block engines. This video is going to talk about a modification on how to oil your crank and rods better. This modification was come up with by Herb McCandless. I'm not sure when he did it, probably in the early 70s. But I looked a lot for this information and it was hard to find any video or anything on how to do this. I just completed mine and I'm going to put it on YouTube here so people can see how to do it. I collected all the stuff you'll need to do this so I can show you what you'll need. For this reaming, the main modification here, you're going to need all these tools. You'll need two of these 9/32 reamers, one of which I tapered the end on it. I'll show you why I did that later. You'll need this extension. I think it's about 10 inches. I bought it at Lowe's and I cut the end off a little bit so it wasn't so long on me. You'll need, for the latter part of this, you'll need these 19/32 cup type freeze plugs. See how big they are there? This is a regular block kit for expansion plugs. You'll need these, most likely need these stainless steel pipe plugs. You need a good cordless drill and a couple of probes, probably just to poke around so you know what you're doing. Okay, this is your block, and obviously if you're watching this you probably know pretty much how this works, and the mains get their oil from these holes here as well as the cam does. The oil you're looking at, or the oil galley you're looking at expanding, the oil passage you're looking at enlarging, actually, it's the angled one. If you look down in there, you can see some light through there. The one that's straight down feeds your cam oil. Okay? The one you want to enlarge is the one that goes like this. It runs at an angle to the passenger side main oil tappet gallery, which I'll go down on the back of the stand here. It's that hole right here, okay? And the lighting's gonna suck, but if you're in the garage you can see it. You'll have to remove that pipe plug in that to do this so you can see in there, okay? Now this front main oil passage runs at a different angle, which you'll have to see. This oil pump, I think this is a pressure side hole, obviously it feeds the crank and stuff. You don't want to enlarge this one past the intersection of this angled passage, because that also feeds the cam. You don't need to enlarge the cam one. You don't want to enlarge the cam hole, the cam oil hole that's straight down. Okay, I'm not sure what size these main feeds are that run at the angle, what they are stock, but 9/32 is quite a bit bigger. And I leave that, when I did my operation here, I left this punch in so I could gauge what angle I was running my cordless at. Okay, so when I started here, since you couldn't physically use the square end reamer to start the hole, it was too big. So I took this and I tapered it, took this one and tapered it so you could start the hole with it and start to enlarge it. This is kind of a pain in the ass. It takes some time. I think I probably invested about 3 hours in doing this. What I mainly did was start the hole with the tapered one, get it till you can get the square end cutter in there, and then I ended up just changing back and forth between the two because it takes a long time, and you know, it's pretty slow going. So you work with the tapered one, go to the square one, go back to the tapered one, go to the square one, and you know, eventually you'll hit a spot where it'll finish going through, and you want to be careful when you break through the hole. You should feel it when you break into the other tappet gallery. You don't want to go any farther past that. You just want to make sure the holes are clear, go back and forth. Okay? And then when you get a certain depth in there, you need to change from being able to just use your reamer on your cordless. You have to put on the extension so the cordless will clear the block, and you know, you'll have some room to do it. The only thing you have to be careful of is not to hit the main saddle with the edge of the extension here, this collet extension, because obviously it'll mark and mar that, and you want this main saddle to be perfectly smooth for holding your bearing. Okay, so I think it took me about 3 hours to get this done. I took my time, took some breaks, made sure I didn't get frustrated with it. And this hole, you got to be a lot more careful with, because it runs at a different angle. You're going to be more likely to make this top edge, you know, break out, or cast iron's fairly fragile. It'll bump up on you. So what I wanted to do before I started this hole, and the other, your reamer doesn't actually touch here. This is a bigger hole. So what you want to do is like chamfer this edge just a hair to keep it from busting up like that. And when you finish your reaming operation, go back over these holes and chamfer them back a shade, all of them, so that you don't have any higher metal, like I said, to rub up on your bearing and cause stress, take up your bearing clearance, and destroy your bearing and crank. So that's pretty much the mainstay of this half of the oil to the rod and mains modification that Herb McCandless outlined. The other half is to take this oil galley hole. No. You got to do the one you want to plug is the driver's side. It's a little bit confusing when you have the engine, you know, flipped upside down like this. So I'll flip it over. Take my bolt out. It's hard with one hand. Okay, here we go. This is a little bit easier to see. Okay, the mains feed from your passenger side galley. You want to plug this one if you're not using a hydraulic cam. Okay, hydraulic cams need the full oil to the galley. A flat tappet or a roller, you can plug this, save any leakage around the lifters, and give more volume and pressure to your mains and rods. Okay, this is where these freeze plugs come in. Okay, now this is a very dirty operation, all this reaming and stuff. So the one thing I don't have here are my engine brush cleaning kit that I haven't gotten in the mail yet. So anyway, after you do all that reaming, you have to clean the shit out of this block because it's very dirty. Okay, now I mean, if you're doing this, depending on if you're having it cleaned by a machine shop or whatever, either way you gotta have it clean before assembly. Obviously you guys probably know that. Okay, so you got this freeze plug. You can either completely block it off, or you can drill like a 1/10 of an inch hole inside in the center of that if you want to get some, or if you're not comfortable totally blocking it off, whatever. But then you take this, you put it in your driver's side passage, you drive it in there, like I believe the directions Herb McCandless wrote is like 1.25 inches, or until it blocks or goes past your passages here, which will feed your pressure takeoff and stuff, and your head to your external oiling for heads and stuff. But you have to get past that to block off the tappet gallery, because this side doesn't need it if you're running flat tappet cam or roller solid cam. You know, hydraulics need the oil though, so you can't do it if you're running hydraulic. But hopefully, I've never actually tried this before or run it, so I don't really have real information on how this oiling mod works, but it's definitely good insurance to keep more oil on your rod and mains, especially when you're running if you're using the oil hole to feed the heads. This guy here, I don't know if you can see that with the light, but that feeds your heads. So this main saddle here feeds through the cam to your heads. I don't use that because I run into heads with external oiling, so that's blocked. But anyway, that a lot of times you'll burn your rod bearings from this guy because this guy's losing a lot of oil up through the heads. That might be irrelevant to this video, but I throw that in there. Okay, I'm gonna go home and check out this video, see how it turns out. See you later.